So if you're looking to get into any type of forest farming, maybe split it up, get the rhizome or root and some seed. That way you'll have a harvest that comes off the first couple years because you planted roots, so you'll get a viable top and maybe some seed to sell. And then the seeds that you planted in say 5 to 6 years, you'll start getting more of a production off of them for your business as well. So it's really a pretty cool thing, and if you use ethics in your approach of how you're going to do this and only harvest maybe the tops for a few years and leave the roots in the ground, you'll grow fast. And there's something that I learned from my great granddad. He died when he was 99. And he said there was two things during the Great Depression that held their value, and that was gold and ginseng. Pretty unique, huh? But the barter system was huge then too. So, and those things are today about the same. Gold and ginseng. The ginseng, if you use it on a daily basis, you will see an incredible difference in your life, especially the wild. Um, as far as the commercial ginseng and stuff that you might buy at GNC, I'm not going to talk down on it. It's just not the quality and the power that you would get out of the wild harvested plant. So, and we do sell a lot of products that we make from this. We got tinctures that from ginseng. We do a dual extraction, alcohol and water. We make take the tops from the this is peppermint, but we also do ginseng tops and the same type of packages. So, and items that you can pick up even in your front yard. Plantain. Plantain salve is definitely a staple at our house and about everybody in our neighborhood. I was just telling someone today at the doctor's office, she was putting super glue on her fingers because they was dried and split. I said, won't you try this salve called plantain? She goes, what's it do? I said, it'll heal your hands pretty much in 2 days. I said, it'll cure them cracks up. And so I'm excited to hear back from her. But it's testimonies that come in from selling good products, being recognized from it, and it means a lot. So if you're looking to get into any type of forest farming and you want to sell an end product, sell the best product. Don't just sell a product. You can buy that down Walmart. So, do your research, be the best, your name gets known, you'll get recognized. It doesn't take much. Just do it right. And we've made some mistakes. Our first mistake was letting people know what we was doing. I got robbed at our second spot. So, unfortunately, ginseng, there is some evil sides to it that people want to come in and steal from you. So, put up a lot of cameras and do some fencing if you have to. But best thing is don't tell nobody. For our business to grow to where we're at today, I had to tell people. And I'm also a root broker, not only for our own roots, but we'll take in roots from folks who have permission to dig some, maybe on a timber lease. A lot of leases for timber companies go out. These guys get on the lease to hunt, and the timber company's there to take the timber. They don't care about the roots that's being harvested. So I think sometimes these guys maybe go in and get a few of those roots to offer me to sell, but at the same time, they're wild and they're in an area that's not sprayed, so you're getting good quality stuff. Although I don't promote diggers to go on national forest, state forest, or anything like that because that's sort of being taboo with this. We don't want to get a bad reputation in doing what we're doing. Now with the ginseng, they'll lie to you. They'll tell you they dug it, in a place that you think, oh, that's safe. That's not bad. They're probably digging it on national forest. We have the Mon National Forest here. It's got about 500,000 acres. So I don't know that they're hurting it, but it's not something I would want to promote. I know a lot of states have cut out their national forest ginseng. So I look for West Virginia to follow suit in a couple of years, but at this time it's still open. You can buy a permit. So it is legal. But at the same time, what is the legal limit? They have it set. Does everybody follow it? It's not my job to police it, but if I was to bet, I would say there's very few people that have those good quality ethics today. It's all about the mighty dollar. And unfortunately, there's a fine line there. You just got to remember that you're not here to get rich. You're here to make a product and be ethical in your sustainable harvest and use less material to make your money. And that's where we got into making our end products. And, it took off. And right now we're at a stage of sort of scary. My wife and I've retired. I'm pretty much doing this business. My wife still has a job, but when she gets home in the evening, she's busy till 11 o'clock at night, usually help me fill orders. It's not that everything we buy or make is that big of a seller. It's just those $7 to $10 items, they add up, and if you're sitting at home watching TV and you're sitting there and you're just boxing up stuff and putting an address on it to ship out, you're utilizing your time and not wasting it. And those $10 per box or 20, 40, whatever it is, they soon add up. And it's getting out with a good name, produce a good product, raise your own goods, know that it's not sprayed, and stand true, and it'll be all right. So if I can help anybody out, please give us a shout. Shady Grove Botanicals. We're not hard to find, and be happy to ask any or answer any questions at the end of this Zoom meeting. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Ed. And Marlana, if you want to jump in, I'll let you go right ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm Marlana Pennington, and we have Branch and Root Forest Farm. I think maybe some of you I've met before, but most of you seem to be new names to me. We are located in Hardy County, West Virginia, and we are a veteran-owned forest farm. You may or may not have seen my husband around. He's the veteran, and we kind of started this because of that, and I'll get into more of that on the next slide. But we started our homestead traditional farming in 2015, which did include a few mushroom logs, but the rest was cows, pigs, your traditional kind of farm. Then we kind of moved around a bit, tried to decide what we wanted to do, and moved to where we are now in 2019. And we planted our first test batch of ramps in 2021. And then we officially started forest farming in 2022. So why we started forest farming kind of from a veteran standpoint. My husband kind of put in his little 2 cents on this slide. He's not one for doing the Zoom meetings or being the face of the business, but he is very much the backbone and strength and does all the moving the mushroom logs and planting all the stuff outside. So a couple of the reasons we chose forest farming was because it's a slow-paced farming. It's a lot less stress than traditional farming. As Ed said, it takes about 7 years once you plant those seeds for them to grow. Most of ours, we did start with roots, so we don't have to wait the full 7 years, but with that 7 years, you kind of have a slower pace and lots of time to plan. The plants are really patient and resilient. This second photo is goldenseal, and I bought that from Ed at our very first forest farming conference. And I came home and I sat it down and I told Todd we had to find a place to plant it, and it still lives in that same exact spot with a broken pot around it and comes back every year thriving. So we really like that the plants are flexible. You can plant most of them in the spring or the fall. So if we're having a really busy year or something else comes up, then we plant it the opposite season. this drill bit was probably one of the first specialized tools we bought for the farm, and we bought that this year. So there's a lot of, with other farming, you have all the costs to get, the livestock or the tractors or whatever. Forest farming really is low entry cost. So you don't need a lot of specialized tools. You can plant as little or as much as you want to plant. Our very first year, we only planted a couple dozen ramps. The second year, I really gung-ho and ordered 10 pounds of ramp bulbs from Ed, and they showed up, and I did not realize how long I was going to be on my hands and knees in the woods planting those ramps. So, but you can do as little or as much as you want. And then networking. We've met a lot of great veteran-owned farms and other people through the forest farming community, and everyone in the forest farming community is very welcome and laid back. We've yet to meet one of those like grumpy old scruffy farmers that just doesn't want you to know how he's selling his cows or whatever. Everyone is really welcome and passionate about the plants and wants to share the forest farming information with you. And in that, there's a lot less stress in learning how the right way to do it, because you can just ask. At any point you have a question, just reach out to one of the other forest farmers that is doing whatever well, and usually you get an answer back pretty quickly. It's also lesser known, and there's not quite as much of a right and wrong way with forest farming. There's probably more wrong ways than, some things, but there's a lot of trial and error, and you can, test a little bit more with it. So for Todd, when I said, let's do this, it seemed like a less stressful agriculture option than some of the other ones that we had did. So that's why we kind of chose to jump into forest farming. So we grow ramps, black cohosh, blue cohosh, bloodroot, goldenseal. We have 11 varieties of mushrooms currently. And we also have native ghost pipe, wild yam, Solomon seal, maple, and witch hazel on the property. And all the ones with the asterisks on that slide, we have sourced from Ed. So I can 100% tell you that we love his rootstock. Ramps is the only one that I can actually compare. We have bought ramps from other places, but I can tell you Ed's come up religiously every year. And for the first couple years, I had like maps of the property and what was where and who we got it from. And I was really testing to see like the easiest way to plant and all the different things. And so I can 100% tell you that the patches that came from Ed are the best patches we have. But as of right now, we have planted over 2,000 ramps in about a dozen different beds on the property. And then we do have the native plants as well. And of everything that we've planted, we currently only are harvesting ramps, mushrooms, and then we do tap our maple trees on a small scale for some of our value-added products and personal use. And we also tap our maples for educational purposes, which I'll talk a little more about in a minute. But we only use the ramps, tops, like Ed said. We are very sustainable in our harvesting of those. So all of our products, you'll see they only have ramp greens, not any of the bulbs. So what we sell mainly spice blends. The only thing that we sell fresh is our mushrooms. And we've learned with our mushrooms being exclusively forest grown that it's really hard to establish a client base with local restaurants because they want something every week. And we are at Mother Nature's mercy as far as when our mushrooms are going to pop up. So that kind of played into our products as well. We were already doing some ramp-based seasonings, and now we have several mushroom-based seasonings as well, because then we can dry or freeze dry those. And implement those into our products. It provides a longer shelf life and more of a end user style product. We really find that our customers are kind of unsure of how to use fresh mushrooms or what they do with all the different varieties of mushrooms. But if they are already in a package ready for them to use, they are much more likely to sell. There's supposed to be another photo there of our other products, but I don't know if you all can see that. It's not showing on mine. We do have a few body products that we sell, some salves and oil rollers, and then we have a line of sprays that we do use our witch hazel that comes from the property as well. And then we've been fortunate to be able to move towards more wholesale options. So we do sell our items in 8 different shops across the state. That second photo is one of our state parks. We do have our products in our local state park as well. And then we do a lot of markets and events. It's a great opportunity to get out and reach new customers and then also further educate people on forest farming. A lot of people don't know what a ramp is or that you can grow mushrooms outside in your garden beds or flower beds or however. So it's always great to get out and meet people at the markets and talk about forest farming more there. And we are not set up for agritourism opportunities yet, but we do enjoy hosting small groups and have done some on-site hands-on maple day kind of things for our local homeschool groups. So the photo that's missing there is that one. We do have once a year, our local homeschool group will come out. We tap the trees. We have some sap that's already evaporating down. They get to taste the sap. They get to taste the finished syrup. And it's just a great kind of community thing that we get to do that with them every year. And we've done that for the past 4 years. And then you can see the bottom left photo there is one of our medicinal beds, not in season. And then the top right photo is our slope that we get to climb up and down every time we go to all these little places. And that's the only photo that I have been able to take that actually you can see the slope with our kids there in the background. It seems a lot more realistic than it does when I go down there and try to take a picture of it. Lastly, we've made some great connections through forest farming, through organizations such as Future Generations, the UW Mountain Center. We've been members of Homegrown by Heroes since 2016, I think. West Virginia Grown. We're now part of the Mountain State Co-op and the Potomac Highland Producers. There's lots of traditional farming agencies and things that you can become a part of even as a forest farmer. So it's great that those two worlds, traditional farming and forest farming, are kind of starting to come together. So there's lots of options there. And we've made great strides in building our forest farm through partnerships with these and have made some really great friendships along the way through all these agencies. And that is it. And there's my email. And we also are online if I'll be here at the end for any questions as well. But if you want to reach out, you can definitely email us at any point with any questions.
Thanks, Marlana. Really appreciate that. And Paul, I'll let you go ahead and jump in.
Sure. Thanks, Casey. My name is Paul Powers. I'm with Shady Valley Farm. We actually are in Broadway, Virginia, just on the other side of the mountain from West Virginia. If you know where Matthias, West Virginia is, so you literally, if you go over the mountain, you should be able to see Matthias from where we are. We actually got into forest farming kind of by accident. My father-in-law, who was a retired Navy veteran, had suffering from pulmonary fibrosis, and he also had Alzheimer's, and he did not have much longer to live. So we invited him and my mother-in-law to come live with us. This is back in 2019. and walking around the woods with us and walking through the mountains and all, getting all that fresh air really helped his lungs, and it really helped him to live longer. And as we were walking through the woods, he kept asking, "What are all these plants that we see down here?" And they were May apples. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that actually is a medicinal plant as well. It's been known to treat cancers. And as we researched it more and more, we found out, well, if you have mayapple growing underneath your trees, then you could probably grow ramps and goldenseal and all other medicinal plants. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you a little bit about our farm and how we decided to set everything up. All right, you guys seeing that? Hang on a second. There we go. We actually, if you'll notice, if you can see the picture of our farm here, this is our wooded area here. It's 40 acres of forest land. This is Church Rock up here on the ridge. And if you cross over there, then you're up in West Virginia. You notice over here on the left-hand side, there's all these indentations of trees missing. And what's going on is there's a lot of timbering in our area. In fact, they clear cut hundreds of acres to the north and to the south of us. And we did not want to timber anymore. We're trying to figure out what can we do with our forests and generate some income without having to cut down every single tree. And so, as I was saying, my father-in-law was very curious about all the stuff that we were doing and looking around the forest. And he helped me to set up a little site map. And we decided to carve out an acre of land and start growing goldenseal and ginseng. And we started with those two plants, and all the yellow and red here is the goldenseal and ginseng plots. In fact, we ordered seeds and roots from all around the country. I have 8 different farms that I ordered from. I did not order from Ed. So one of these days, I'll have my own Ed plot here, and I can test to see all these testimonials. Now I'm ready. I got to come see Ed and see how he's grew out here. But we've been in this business. We started in 2020, and as you can see, we only have a half acre still. And I mean, we've been really working hard to get this up and going, and everything's growing. It's doing great. But you really, with these types of medicinals, if you know what you're doing and know how to grow them, you don't need hundreds of acres of land. You really only need small plots if you want to get started in this, and that's really has worked for us. My father-in-law, when he got kind of later in his illness and all, the only thing he really was capable of doing was sifting soil. Like he was having a hard time breathing. He wasn't quite aware of what was going on with his surroundings. So he built a hand sifter and started grabbing the soil from underneath the trees, and he was sifting to keep himself active. And his mind active, and he really enjoyed it. So all this soil that you see here was hand sifted by him in kind of the last year of his life. And I took out the tiller, tilled it all up, and created raised beds up underneath the canopy. So you'll see these beds and these going down the rows here, all up underneath the trees. So almost a half acre of soil was hand sifted by my father-in-law. And we ended up making it almost like a park. And I think, Ed, you had a fantastic suggestion there not to tell anybody that you've got ginseng. But the truth of the matter is our ginseng really isn't growing all that great. Goldenseal is doing really, really well. You can see the goldenseal plants coming up here. That's all the hand-sifted soil that my father-in-law worked on. The soil makes all the difference in the world. If you have great soil, everything's going to come up. But we put in these rows, and we create these walking trails so you can walk throughout the woods, come around and see the plants. And eventually, we'd like to be able to make teas and have people come spend the day, have an agritourism site so you can come out and get the fresh air. We don't have internet connectivity other than our Starlink dish, and no cell phone service. So you come out here, what we want you to do is disconnect from everything and reconnect with nature. Get that fresh air going, get your mind right, have a cup of tea with us, and just get away. We're only 2 hours from DC. So there's a lot of people that come out this way, and I think agritourism is going to be kind of our longer term avenue of revenue. But you can see over here, we did a farm tour this year, and the golden seal is doing great. What we liked about golden seal is the same thing that Ed said, but we also heard this year that there was this TikTok craze going on where golden seal was supposed to be a weight loss drug and the next weight loss miracle, I guess. And that it does help to control blood sugar, and there has been positive results on that. And so I think that as we go down the road with more and more testing and more people getting into it, there's going to be a bigger demand for these medicinal plants. And I think we're going to focus mostly on golden seal, but we also had fantastic results with ramps. And every ramp we planted has come up, and we've got a whole little hillside of ramps. And as Ed was saying earlier too, we only harvest the leaves and dry them out. We've done them dried. Not brave enough to test them and taste them as they come right out of the ground quite yet. I heard they could be quite potent. But we do have ginseng. Our ginseng's growing, but we're not going to focus so much on that just because we are going to have a lot of people out here. We already have had a lot of people come visit us. We're going to focus on the golden seal and ramps, and then something kind of just thinking outside the box. We had an oak tree come down. It was older, and we had to get it out of the way because it wasn't really helping anything. And we ended up cutting it into small chunks of wood. And I threw some on my charcoal grill, and the smoke and the aroma was amazing, and it made just some amazing barbecue. So we started cutting the wood up into little blocks. And now we're in the smoke wood business in Virginia, and I've been traveling around to different shows selling this because I went to Lowe's and I went to Home Depot and a couple of hardware stores and looked at the smoke wood that they were selling. And quite honestly, some of it was coming from Mexico. Some was coming from Canada. I'm like, we live in Virginia. Why are we going to Mexico to get a tree, wood smoke? And it just didn't make any sense to me. And so we started down this road, and we actually even started selling some little chips so people could put them in their cocktail smokers. And now I actually make not only the chips, but the cocktail smokers. So I do woodworking on the side, and that has led into another kind of avenue of revenue for your forest farm. So for us, I think we're really getting more into kind of that holistic kind of wellness approach. How can you walk through the woods and have some great tasting barbecue that's not full of all this stuff that you buy at the store, and have some ramp salt. So we're looking forward to partnering up with the team here and getting some good seeds and maybe some ramp salts, and then we all work together and we have avenues to sell our products. And this past year for me has been all about selling and trying to find out what markets will actually buy our products and who's interested, and also really promoting forest farming. Nobody's really heard of it. They think it's something kind of out there, and I'm like, no, it's really not. It's going to become more mainstream. So I'm really excited about it, and that's us. We're out here in Broadway, and I'll show you one last picture of our. We're right in the heart of the mountains here, and we're literally only 2 hours from DC. So that's it. Does that look familiar to you, Ed? I mean, Newmarket's in the
I think I dug some ginseng here somewhere. Nah, I'm just kidding you.
I was going to say I'll have to get your secret spot from you.
Columbia Furnace.
Okay, well, this is all national forest here. This is the George Washington.
Yeah.
And so we're actually connected to it, and then it's the George Washington. So anyhow, that is us. We're out here. My wife and I run the business, and we've been very busy this holiday season. We thought the season was over, but for the holidays, everybody's buying their gifts. So actually, we're busier now than we were during grilling season, which is good. So Casey, I think that's it from Shady Valley. We've been doing this 4 years now, so we're newer to this.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to put that in the chat and we can help out with that. And just have any of you all had any experience with this catalyzing agroforestry grant?
We did it the first year and were awarded the grant.
And do you care to share like how much that was for? I know I was reading about it a little bit and didn't get all of the nitty-gritty details, but I know that there's some funding available for some forest farming up to like a quarter acre or something of that nature.
Yes, I want to say I'm not 100% sure right off the top of my head how much it was. It was somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000. We've done a couple over the last 2 years. But I do think you were right. It's right at like a quarter acre or something for the grant.
Yeah, I think it goes up to 3,000.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a link to be able to share here in the chat if I'm able to pull it up.
We actually got started with a grant as well from Appalachian Sustainable Development. And they had a $1,500 grant that we were awarded back in 2020. And then I found out this year the USDA has actually recognized forest farming as a type of farming, and they have a classification for it. And I went down to my NRCS office 2 months ago and filled out an application, and now I'm in line for a grant to expand the farm. So now the USDA is actually starting to recognize forest farming as, an official method of farming.
Yeah, I thought that potentially the two of you had got some funding from that grant, but thanks for elaborating on that a little bit. And here is the website to this catalyzing agroforestry grant funding. And I think right now actually I want to say that right now they're accepting applications. So yeah, the deadline is March 3rd, 2025. So it'd be a good time to kind of look into that if you're interested. And I know we got to tour Paul's place a while earlier this summer of this year, and I know that's what I was trying to see what you all had applied for and received funding through, because I know it definitely helped you with certain things that aren't the cheapest to just buy a lot of, such as T-posts and fencing and certain things like that. Oh, and let's see.
For me, the grant money was really good for getting the seeds and the roots and all. And then I had a list of different vendors, and I reached out to them and was able to get some from a little bit from everybody and test them all out and figure out which ones worked the best. So I think the grant money was great to get us started. And now that I've been into it for 4 years, I'm like, how do we get to that next level? And so that's why I applied for another grant to build it out another half acre.
And I do want to point out here in the chat that Eric Stamper, who is he works for the Veterans and Heroes the Agriculture program, and he shared a link to the West Virginia Department of Ag, the Veterans and Heroes Agribusiness Pitch Competition request for applications. So that's another opportunity if you're a veteran and doing something in the lanes of agriculture and agroforestry, and would like to try to get some funding there. But the applications are due on January 10th, so I would take a look at that sooner than later. Well, I'm just kind of checking the chat here to see if I missed anything. I don't think that I have. Oh, he says 60K on the line for that agribusiness pitch competitions for the Veterans and Heroes. And I think that I shared a link to your all's websites in the chat here. So hopefully some people check that out. And really appreciate you all coming today and talking about what you do. Oh, Eric, can we get your email? I'm sure he'll share that. but yeah, that was very informative, and really appreciate you all taking the time to do that and share what you've been doing with people. And if you all have anything else, just let me know, but I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping it up here soon. All right. Well, yeah, I did want to wait here for a minute to try to. Okay, it looks like Eric got to share his email address there. But yeah, if any of you all are interested in any of this, like I said, feel free to visit future.edu. I'll share my email in the chat here as well. But yeah, reach out to these guys. They're all interested in helping people move forward in this and able to share knowledge and resources and things like that, and help each other keep moving forward. But really appreciate everything and everybody, and I think we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, guys.